Hi, I'm Dr. Wendy Laborn, and I'm talking to you for the May Vocal Wellness blog. We're going to do a video blog this month about allergies and singers, and I have allergy nurse Sandy Deach with us from Southwest Ohio ENT specialist, and we're just going to have a little conversation about allergies, how to minimize them, some of the common questions I get from singers, and hope that she can answer some of our questions. If you have additional comments or questions, feel free to either email them to me through NATS, and I will try to get answers to your questions related to allergies and singers. All right, welcome, Sandy.
Thank you.
All right, so tell us a little bit about your background as an allergy nurse and how long you've been doing this.
Well, I've been a nurse for a long time, but I started with allergy in a pediatric office, and I did that. I worked there for 23 years. I didn't do allergy the whole time, but I did allergy there for about 15 years or so. And then I came here, and I've been here for 13 years.
Okay.
And the pediatric allergy was quite different than the ENT allergy, which was a good thing because you learn all the aspects of it.
So what is interesting to me is how young do kids develop allergies, or do you develop them at any point in your life?
You can grow into them, you can grow out of them, and some of them you can have all your life. And it just depends on how they exacerbate, what symptoms you have, and things like that, and how you treat them.
Okay, so that's a great segue into symptoms of allergies versus symptoms of colds, because I think sometimes a lot of our singers, I often will get questions, well, my nose is running and my eyes are dripping and my throat is itching, but I don't have a fever and I don't feel bad. So how do I know if I have allergies versus a cold?
Most of the symptoms are so similar that it's hard to tell. A cold will end in about 10 days, which seems like forever sometimes. Allergy symptoms will go on and on and on, and depending what season you're in and what you're allergic to. But a cold, you usually have a fever with it. And so that's kind of the giveaway, you know. And maybe a cough more so than a cough like from postnasal drainage.
Okay. So what are some of the other symptoms of allergies? You mentioned postnasal drainage. Sometimes people get cough with it also.
Sometimes that's mostly from the postnasal drainage, but and sometimes wheezing because they're so congested. But you can get nasal congestion, runny nose, itchy, watery eyes. Sometimes people's ears itch, which is very frustrating.
Like on their inside they itch? Okay.
And you can have just a lot of fatigue, just a general malaise type thing, feeling of it.
And we're talking airborne allergies. Just to kind of clarify, we're not talking about food allergies at this point, because I think those are probably a different topic altogether. We're talking things that float in the air. So when should you get tested for allergies, or how do you know, what should you try, or when should you see a doctor?
I would say you should see a doctor when your symptoms are becoming severe enough to handicap you, to affect your life in a negative way. And so see a doctor then. A lot of allergies can be treated with medication. Some you need immunotherapy on. It kind of depends on to what extent you want to go to and how bad you're feeling. A lot of people will try to treat their allergies just with over-the-counter medication and things like that. And then if that's not doing it, then by all means see a doctor.
Right. So, things like Allegra and Claritin used to be prescription only, and now we're seeing them over the counter. So have the drugs changed, or have they come up with new drugs that are better for allergies, or did the patents run out on some of these and then they become available over the counter? Is that sort of what happened with some of these?
That's pretty much what happened.
Okay.
And then you get that classification of the non-sedating antihistamines in there, and those are really big because people don't want to walk around in a fog all the time.
Right.
So, but it just depends. Some medicines will work for some people and not for others. So sometimes you just have to try a few to find out what works for you.
Right. So I know a lot of our singers, because of some of the side effects being drying with the allergy medications, are a huge issue. So they don't want to treat their allergies with over-the-counter medicines because the things that are over-the-counter, and I'm just naming random brands here, but so for example, Benadryl is extremely drying for almost everyone, and that's going to dry out their mouth and their throat and makes it very difficult for them to sing normally. It's my understanding that anything that has the D on the end, like Claritin D or Allegra D or Zyrtec D, that decongestant in there also has a drying effect. Can you comment on that at all, or do you know anything about that?
The antihistamine will dry you up. I mean, that's its purpose, is to dry you up. The D, for the decongestant, its purpose is to keep things flowing and running. So if you were real congested and you took just a decongestant, your nose would run like crazy, you know.
Okay.
So, but if you take something that's got the antihistamine and the decongestant with it, you're kind of combating both problems or whatever. So it just depends on what kind of symptoms you're having and what works for you. Sometimes it's just trial by error.
Okay. How about the nasal sprays? How do they work differently than the oral medications? Like I'm just going to name some because like Flonase, Rhinocort are some of the maybe more common ones. Different than Afrin, right? Because Afrin's not an allergy medicine. Right. So we'll just be clear on that.
Afrin is good for its purpose, but people get hooked on it and
so let's talk about the allergy nasal sprays. Tell me a little bit about how they work differently than an oral medication.
Oral is a systemic function. It goes through your whole body and works that way. The nasal sprays are just right to the point. They go directly to the source, to the internal source.
So if somebody's breathing in pollen through their nose, would a nasal spray help them not have an allergic reaction to the pollen, or not necessarily?
It would help.
Okay.
But they're best used in conjunction with your medications also.
Okay.
You know, they work hand in hand.
Okay. So let's say our singers have tried the over-the-counter medications, they're still having issues, they decide they're going to come see an ENT, and the ENT sends them down to you for allergy testing. What happens during a typical allergy test? Like a skin allergy test?
The skin test. And our doctors prefer the skin test because they feel they're just a little more accurate than a blood test, although the blood tests are good.
Will the blood test also test for airborne allergies or only food? Okay.
Yeah, they can test for both.
Okay.
We do not skin test for foods, so since we're not talking about foods, we won't worry about that.
I was just curious.
But no, that's good. The skin test, and every office does it a little bit differently, but the way we do it is on patients' upper arms, and it's an intradermal stick of the different antigens that are common to this geographic location, the ones that give the most problems, and we determine from those sticks what's called an endpoint, and that tells us how severe your allergy is because of the dilution of the medication that we needed to use or whatever to get a reaction. And we go from there. We write a formula for you from there of what will be in your immunotherapy. Okay.
So each person who has been tested positive for specific allergies, they have their own serum, so to speak, to be able to get their immunotherapy or get their allergy shots.
That's correct. Yeah, because it's custom made for you for what you're allergic to. And what the allergy immunotherapy is, whether it's the slit drops or the shots, is a custom made for you of the antigens that cause you the problem at the dilution that will work best for you. And you're trying to teach your body to defend itself from those things so that they don't create such a problem with itself.
So it's kind of like when you get an immunization for let's say chickenpox virus, they're giving you not a totally live virus or a diluted version of it so that your body develops antibodies to have chickenpox. So you are basically creating a serum saying, all right, you're allergic to these specific things, and we're going to create a serum for you to help your body fight off your allergies first.
That's correct.
Basically how it works.
The reason it takes so long with allergy immunotherapy is that we have to build up so gradually. Okay. And
Because
that's-
otherwise you set them into an allergic reaction.
Exactly.
Okay.
I don't want to do that. So yeah, no, it takes a while because we have to. It's a slow process, but it's worth it in the end. you
Okay.
know, so.
Okay, good. So you mentioned in passing there's slip therapy. What is slip therapy?
Slip therapy is it stands for Sublingual Immunotherapy,
Okay.
and it's the drops, and you hear a lot about those. They're very popular in Europe.
Okay.
But the patient can do those at home.
So instead of allergy shots, they do drops under their tongue.
That's correct.
Okay.
And you do them daily. Now the shots you do weekly, but the drops you do daily. And so it's a faster build-up in a way, and you can do it at home. You don't have to be seen in a physician's office.
Do they taste bad?
Some people complain of the taste, but not really, and you're not getting that much. So
Okay.
even if it tastes bad, it's not like it's a whole bunch. You
Okay.
know, the maximum dose that we give is 3 drops
Okay.
a day, and a drop is not much. So, yeah.
So for people who don't like shots, this is potentially an option for them after they've gone through the initial allergy testing. Is everyone potentially a candidate for that therapy, or certain people candidates for the sublingual drops and some people aren't?
Everybody's a candidate for it.
Okay.
The problem with the sublingual drops is that they are not recognized by the FDA, and so insurance does not pay for them. So it's
Okay.
an out-of-pocket expense. They are the exact same antigens that you would be getting if you were getting shots.
Okay.
But it's just the method of delivery is not recognized by the FDA.
Right.
So therefore it's not covered by insurance. So the cost might be prohibitive for some people, although the method isn't. You know, a lot of kids use them because it's easier.
Right.
And people who travel a lot, it's ideal for them. You know, it just depends on what works for you, and part of that is financially what works for
Right.
you.
So let's talk about travel, because lots of my performers are in different parts of the country or in different countries or exposed to different allergens. And is there anything that they can do to, like, I have people that when they're in the Northeast, they have no problems, but when they're in the Southeast, they're a disaster. And they might, I don't know if you have any suggestions or thoughts on that when they travel all over the country.
It's hard. It really is, because you're moving from climate to climate or geographic location. Excuse me, and the things that might bother them are predominant in one
Yeah,
location. Yeah. So the best thing they can do, I would think, is to, first of all, if they know what they're allergic to, and sometimes you can just tell. I mean, right now in Ohio, the cottonwood's flying, and people whose symptoms are getting
Flared
worse,
up.
then you figure it's from the cottonwood. But, you know, without a specific test, you wouldn't know for sure. But the best thing they can do is lots of fluids.
Okay, so fluids.
Fluids, take any medication that they need.
Okay.
When they're traveling, if they can look at the pollen counts for that city or whatever and know if things are high or whatever, you know, to avoid being outside a lot, if they know if it's something that causes them a problem. Stay in air conditioning. If they're going to be outside, or even when they're traveling, if they wear a mask, that'll help.
So you have a mask
I
with
do
you
have
to
a mask.
sort of show
Yeah.
them.
That's
So
just-
you can just get those at any drugstore or anything like that.
Right, and they're easy and they're not real uncomfortable. They have a little wire thing on the top, and you hook it on your ears, and there you go.
And singers,
So-
nobody will talk to you if you wear these, so you can rest your voice at the same time while you're protecting yourself from allergies.
So, yeah, or you can paint a smile on it or something.
That's right. You can draw your own mouth on
There
there.
you go.
So let's talk about reading those pollen counts, because we see them on like the Weather Channel, or we see them on any of the weather stations, and a lot of times they'll have pollen count or mold counts or things like that. Is it specific to the area, or is it
It is
like
specific
mold
to the
is
area.
mold is mold, or
Well, there's all different kinds of mold and things like that, and some are worse in different locations than others. Same thing with the pollens. So, yeah, but it helps to know if they're high or they're low or whatever. You know, if you don't want to set foot out of air conditioning because everything is high, then that's what you need to do. But what they're counting is specific to that area.
and they count spores. Is that what they count?
Yeah, or pollen grains and things like that. Yeah.
And
So-
at certain times of day, better or worse than, like, is pollen low in the morning and higher as the day goes on, or does it not matter? If the pollen count's high, it's high from morning till night.
Pollen count is usually higher in the morning,
Okay.
and about 10 o'clock or so, they say it starts fading off. And
Okay.
then dropping, not, sometimes not significantly, but it does drop, so.
Do weather elements like rain, wind, change pollen counts?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so talk to me about that a little bit.
The rain will make a pollen count go down because it's washing the air. It's
Okay.
washing the pollen out of the air. But on the other hand, it will make the mold count go up.
Right.
So it's a catch-22. Wind is just, it blows it all around.
Okay.
And you really are no place safe from pollen. They've done studies in the Dayton area is so bad for ragweed in the fall. But they've done studies, and there is ragweed in the middle of the ocean. I mean, so you just can't get away from it because the wind carries it all. So on a windy day, you're going to be worse.
Yeah.
So
And just as a note to performers, some of the things that I have seen with people are allergic to dust. There is a tremendous amount of dust often in the curtains for shows. In costumes that are really old and have been recycled or rented, you end up with a lot of dust and things in these costumes that then get close to your face. And so if you can get to a place where we often recommend spritzing the stage, so you take a water bottle or have your stage manager do it where you walk out on the stage, and similar to the rain, if you spritz the air and it pulls the dust particles close to the floor. And so we use that oftentimes, or I recommend that oftentimes to my performers. If you're in a particularly dusty environment, it's not so much that you're going to get rid of the dust, but it pulls that particle to your floor so you're not maybe inhaling as many dust particles if that's a problem for you.
that's very good.
So
That's good
is
advice.
that will that work pretty well? Okay.
When you're talking about dust, I'm sorry, I'm
Go ahead.
interrupting her. If you're traveling a lot, I would suggest that you take an allergy protector for your pillow,
Okay.
because one of the biggest culprits of allergies is dust mites. And they are found in upholstered furniture, pillows, bedding, mattresses, carpets, things like that or whatever. So you can't get away from a lot of that. But hopefully you're getting 8 hours of sleep, and if you can keep your face from inhaling, keep your face out of these dust mites for at least 8 hours, that'll help.
That's
You
a
won't
great,
get such a
that's a
symptom
super
overload.
easy, inexpensive, easy to pack solution for our singers because they get so much travel time. So that's something that they can stick in their suitcase.
Right. Yeah, just put it on your pillow and
And yeah.
sleep better.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So one of the questions I had is, what if you're a cat or dog lover and you're allergic to pets? Are there really hypoallergenic animals, or are they? What do you do?
Not really. I mean,
Okay.
you'll hear that some dogs are, low allergy and stuff like that. And I think a lot of it depends on how much they shed or how much dander they have. We don't ever tell you to get rid of your pet. That's like telling you to get rid of a member of the family. But there again, it comes to sleep. We tell you don't put the animal in the bedroom with you. Don't for sure let them in the bed with you. You have to keep a safe zone where you can make that one area as allergy-free as possible.
Okay.
So let's say you're in a hotel room, but you brought your pet with you or
Okay.
whatever, stuff like that. Keep the pet in a crate or something away from the bed and things like that. Which is probably not what you thought of, but
Yeah.
but try to make, or even when you're at home, try to make one area of your home as allergy-free as you can. Vacuum it frequently. Use your pillow protectors, your mattress covers, things like that, and keep your pet out of that area, just so that you can hopefully have 8 hours of not being bombarded by the antigen that makes you miserable.
Okay. All right. Those were some of my biggest questions. Are there other things that you would recommend for people from an allergy standpoint, or tips or things like that you can think of?
Well, if you know you're heading into a season that's bad for you, start your medication and your treatment ahead of time. Start it early.
Like a week, 2 weeks? A month?
A month probably
A
is a
month.
good thing. And take it
Before
daily.
things start blooming or
Exactly.
dying, whichever
Yeah.
whichever end you're on. Okay.
We talk about the allergy load, which essentially is the example we use as a bucket. And you can keep putting things in your bucket and you're fine until you get to the top. And then you put one more thing in your bucket and it all overflows. So you want to keep your allergy load as light as possible. And you can do that with medication or your immunotherapy, whatever you're using. And that will help. Nasal sprays, nasal sinus rinse will help, and that's, I think, an entertainer, especially after having a dusty costume on or something like that, they would want to do that.
They would want to do that.
Yeah.
We do know there's a slight increased risk of sinus infections if people use those neti pots all the time. So apparently there is a recent study in allergy and asthma that people who use neti pots all the time and then stopped using them, they had a 70% increase of sinus infections when they stopped using them.
Yeah.
So, personally, I recommend to my performers using them as needed,
Right.
or again during those high allergy times for 2 or 3 weeks and then weaning off. Just because I think that the rebound for some of those people is not so good.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
And it's kind of on the on the idea of washing your hands. You may say, I'm only going to wash my hands 3 times a day, but your hands get dirty in the middle. You're going to wash them.
Right.
So if you're exposed to a lot of pollen or mold, go ahead and use that and just kind of wash the things away.
Right.
So,
right, for
yeah.
sure.
If you're traveling and you're outside and it's windy and things like that, before you go to bed, take a shower, wash your hair, get those clothes away from where you're going to be and things like that. Just because the pollen does stick to them.
Right.
And there again, too, if you wash your hair and your hair's so pretty, but let's say it's full of pollen and then you're sleeping at night and your hair's in your face, you're going to wake up stuffy.
Right.
So you want to avoid the pollen and molds as much as you can. And, obviously when you go outside you can't, other than protecting yourself. So the sinus rinse helps, but a lot of people are very opposed to doing those.
We're not opposed to them. I think we just don't want to overdo them or using it as something to treat something that maybe is something else.
Exactly.
that we're over treating the things that we're not actually getting to the bottom of the problem.
A lot of people with allergies have a tendency to lean towards asthma, so it's definitely something to take care of before it gets too bad. So you would want to do that.
Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate it.
I like to talk allergies.
It's great information for us. Thank you guys for watching. Again, if you want some more information, you want to go to www.nats.org, and there's a tremendous amount of information there on what's going on in NATS, and we'll look forward to the June Wellness blog. Have a great day.